Hello, good morning everyone. Last class was discussed about the pre-malignant lesions. Now we come to the inflammatory lesions of the pharynx. Among them, the important ones is the inflammatory diseases of the Valdes ring. So, can you hear me right? And switch off the annotations. Okay. The chat box will be activated throughout the class. So whenever I ask a question, please respond. Okay. You can hear my voice, right? Okay. So we'll start. So we already discussed in the anatomy regarding the structures present in the Valdes ring. They are adenoids, tubal tonsils, palatine tonsils, lingual tonsils, lateral pharyngeal bands, and pharyngeal nodules. Now we discuss the inflammatory conditions or diseases of these structures. Among these structures, the important ones are palatine tonsils and adenoids. So we'll deal with the tonsil inflammatory conditions. The commonest one is the acute tonsillitis. Please switch off the annotations. I told you again before also. Okay. Just switch off. Okay. Yeah. So this acute tonsillitis is nothing but acute inflammation of the tonsil. It is most commonly seen in the children or adolescent age group. The most common etiology is pre-existing Okay. So the etiology of acute tonsillitis. So acute tonsillitis is usually occurs due to pre-existing upper respiratory tract infection, pre-existing chronic tonsillitis, post-nasal drip due to sinusitis. So whenever there is sinusitis, this infective discharges, they pass through the nose and nasopharynx and ultimately reach the oropharynx and then cause infection of the acute tonsillitis. The other cause is the post-tonsillectomy. If you leave some amount of tonsillar tissue, it again can flare up and cause acute tonsillitis. So and other general diseases causing decrease in body immunity. So any viral upper respiratory tract infection can suppress the immunity, particularly in children. This can cause acute tonsillitis. So now coming to the organisms that are involved in the acute tonsillitis. The most common ones is the viral tonsillitis. So all the bacterial infections of the tonsil are invariably preceded by a viral infection. So among the bacteria, the most common ones identified as the beta hemolytic streptococci. The second most common is the Haemophilus influenzae. Other rare causes are pneumococcus and Moraxella catarrhalis. Now coming to stages of the tonsillitis. See, you can see this diagram. The tonsil is lined by a mucosal epithelium. So initially, the infection or inflammation involves only the epithelium, then it is known as catarrhal tonsillitis. It is characterized by upper respiratory tract symptoms along with congestion of the tonsil. In this, only epithelium is involved. Next one is the cryptic. This inflamed epithelium continues into the crypt. Even the epithelium of the crypt is involved in this stage. This inflamed epithelium of the crypts, they secrete exudates. So at this stage, the crypt is filled with the exudates. Next one is the follicular tonsillitis. At this stage, you can see the crypt is filled with yellow color fluid. Yellow color fluid is pus. So whenever in the next stage, when the crypts are filled with pus, they appear at the openings of the crypts, yellow color spots appear. These are known as, at this stage is known as acute follicular tonsillitis. These yellow color or whitish yellow color spots, they fuse to form a membrane. This at this stage is known as acute membranous tonsillitis. Ultimately, these openings of the crypts, they get blocked. Then there is no way for the pus to drain. Ultimately, what happens is this pus enters the parenchyma of the tonsil and it involves the parenchyma of the tonsil. This stage is known as acute parenchymatous tonsillitis. At this stage, there will be tonsil hypertrophy. Now coming to symptoms. The most common symptoms of acute tonsillitis are pyrexia, generalized malaise, and body ache. The pyrexia or fever. The fever normally, it is a high-grade fever. The patient presents with a high-grade fever. Other local symptoms include sore throat, pain during swallowing, also known as odynophagia, ear pain. So the ear pain, there are two causes for ear pain in acute tonsillitis. One is involving of the tubal tonsils and eustachian tube orifice causing obstruction, and serous otitis media causing ear pain. Other cause is referred pain. Referred pain means at the site of pain, there is no pathology. The pain is getting referred from some other site. It happens due to common nerve supply. So, on the middle ear, over the promontory, there is a plexus, tympanic plexus, formed by the Jacobson branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve. The same glossopharyngeal nerve also supplies the throat. So, whenever there is inflammation of the throat, particularly the inflammation of the tonsil, the patient perceives the pain also in the ear. This is known as referred otolgia. Other one is the muffled voice. So, when the tonsil size increases in the parenchymatous stage, it interferes with the modulation of the voice. So, the patient presents with muffled voice. Now coming to examination. See, all the clinical stages we have discussed before, but among these 5 stages, only follicular, membranous, and parenchymatous can be clearly seen in the clinical setting. The catarrhal stage and cryptic stage are usually overlooked. These 3 stages have some predominant signs. When you come to follicular tonsillitis, you can see the crypts are studded with pus or whitish excrescences. They are present as whitish yellow spots on the tonsil. So by saying this, you can say it is a follicular tonsillitis. When this follicular tonsillitis is not treated, on the surface of the medial surface of the tonsil, these spots get coalesced to form a membrane. This is known as membranous tonsillitis. This also can be clearly diagnosed on examination. Ultimately, the parenchymatous tonsillitis. In this, the parenchyma of the tonsil is involved, causing congestion and hypertrophy. Even you can see this stage on examination. So, in tonsil, there are 2 types of examination. Local examination, and neck examination. So examination of a tonsil case is incomplete with examination of the neck because they have some predominant signs. In acute tonsillitis, when you examine the neck, you can palpate for in the most cases for jugulodigastric lymph nodes. In last class, we have discussed the area where you can palpate for jugulodigastric lymph node is 1 centimeter below and behind the angle of the mandible. See, this is the angle of the mandible. 1 centimeter below and behind. So this is the area for palpation of the jugulodigastric lymph node. In acute tonsillitis, patient presents with tender, enlarged JD node at the angle of the mandible. So tenderness is the key point here. Because it is an acute condition, there will be tenderness. See, catarrhal tonsillitis can be rarely diagnosed clinically because just it presents with congestion. Follicular you can clearly diagnose because see the crypts, the opening of the crypts covered by white patches or white spots, yellowish white spots. If you don't treat at this stage, these white spots coalesce to form a membrane. Ultimately, the parenchyma of the tonsil is involved, causing hypertrophy of the tonsil. Now coming to treatment. So treatment is, in acute tonsillitis, the treatment is conservative. Conservative treatment include medication. What medication you want to give? Because it's an infective condition and particularly the bacteria, most common bacteria is the streptococcus, we try to give penicillins. The patient is allergic to penicillins, we prefer macrolides. And to relieve the pain and fever, you give analgesics and antipyretics. Other measures include warm water or warm saline gargle and antibiotic gargling. Now coming to complications. If you don't treat this tonsillitis, either conservatively, what happens next? The local complications are, it can flare, cause exacerbation of the already pre-existing chronic sinusitis. It acts as a focus of infection for sinuses. It can flare up the existing or pre-existing pharyngitis, laryngitis, and quinsy. Quinsy is other name for peritonsillar abscess. So we'll discuss in detail later. So peritonsillar abscess, parapharyngeal abscess, they are few neck spaces adjacent to the pharynx and the oral cavity. These will be discussed in detail in the next class. And the most common and important space related to the pharynx is the parapharyngeal space. Even this space may get accumulated with the pus if you don't treat this acute tonsillitis. Ultimately, the ear infections. The general conditions include, see, we discussed the most common organism is the beta hemolytic streptococcus. So this streptococcus can also cause rheumatic heart disease. In microbiology, you might have already learned. Infective endocarditis, glomerulonephritis, and sleep apnea. The sleep apnea occurs due to hypertrophied tonsils and adenoids can cause obstruction to the airway, which will be more pronounced in middle and older age group because there will be laxity of the airways. So any minimal amount of obstruction can cause snoring. If this snoring is untreated, it progresses into sleep apnea. Apnea means cessation of breathing. In normal sleep, patient has spells of apnea. So this acute tonsillitis can lead ultimately into sleep apnea in some patients. So now coming to differential diagnosis of white patch over the tonsil. See, this is the white patch. There are several conditions mimicking this clinical appearance. So it is important to know what are the several conditions. And it's also important 4 marks question for you. Among the viral conditions, infectious mononucleosis, herpes simplex, HIV. In these conditions, you can see membrane over the tonsil. Bacterial we already discussed. Among fungal, candidiasis can mimic this similar appearance. Autoimmune conditions like lichen planus, vaginal granulomatosis, malignant lesions like leukoplakia, pre-malignant lesions, leukoplakia, submucous fibrosis, and ultimately the important ones is the systemic conditions like leukemia, agranulocytosis. So you have to remember all this differential diagnosis because this is the most common question asked for you. Among these, we'll discuss some of the conditions now. First one is the membranous tonsillitis. The causes bacterial infection. It initially presents as follicular tonsillitis. If you don't treat it, it leads into membranous tonsillitis. Next is the diphtheria caused by Corynebacterium diphtheria. Because nowadays this disease is rare because we are using DPT vaccination. So even this diphtheria can present with a membrane. This membrane can be present in the entire oral cavity anywhere, oral cavity or oropharynx, but sometimes it may be also seen on the tonsil. It is adherent over the tonsil. Whenever you try to remove this, characteristically it shows a bleeding surface. The patient usually presents with a bull neck. Bull neck is due to lymph node hypertrophy in the neck. In this case, you take a smear, throat swab, and you send for microbiology. Treatment is antibiotics and also because this Corynebacterium diphtheria secretes a toxin, to counteract these toxins, you give antitoxins. Preferred antibiotic is penicillins, and patients who are allergic to penicillins will give macrolides like erythromycin. Yeah. The next one is the Vincent angina caused by Borrelia vincenti. It also presents with the membrane of the tonsil. Here, when you try to remove the membrane, you can see irregular ulcers over the tonsil. Now coming to even this, in this condition, you take a throat swab and you'll see on microscopy, you'll see fusiform bacilli and spirochetes. Treatment is antibiotics and irrigation or gargling. The next condition is the infectious mononucleosis. It's seen in young adults. Even in this condition, the tonsil are congested and covered by a membrane. When you take a blood smear in this case, you can see atypical lymphocytes. The test you want to do is Paul Bunyan test or heterophil antibody test. You know, we have already read this in microbiology. So since it's a viral conditions, it resolves on its own. There is no role for antibiotics. Next is the agranulocytosis. So cytosis means increased in WBC. But you can see in this condition, there is decrease in the total WBC count. But the ratio of granulocytes to agranulocytes increases. That is, more number of agranulocytes you can see in the smear. Even in this condition, you can see a patch over the tonsil. Ultimately, and the most important condition is the leukemia. Because this tonsillitis is more commonly seen in the children, you also want to keep this in mind while you go through the differential diagnosis. Other one is the aphthous ulcers. We discussed this in the oral cavity. Aphthous ulcers are common throughout the oral cavity. Sometimes they can be also seen over the tonsils. They are very painful in condition, sometimes covered by a membrane. The most common etiology for this is the stressful conditions and malnutrition. Other conditions like malignancy, candidiasis, and trauma. So when you get an essay, they'll ask you to enumerate the conditions where there is a membrane of the tonsil. So we have to write all these conditions, and they may ask to expand or talk in detail about one or two conditions. Next is the chronic tonsillitis. Simple. Chronic tonsillitis is either chronic subacute infection carried over a period of more than 3 months, or recurrent attacks of acute tonsillitis for more than 3 to 5 episodes per year, then you consider it as chronic tonsillitis. Etiology and the organisms involved are similar to acute tonsillitis. The symptomatology differs because in acute conditions there will be fever. In chronic conditions, the fever is not the predominant complaint. Here, the most common complaint is the recurrent attacks of sore throat. The other one is the hawking. Hawking sensation is that what patient is trying to clear his throat. Like patient repeatedly make this type of sounds. This is known as hawking. This hawking sensation or a hawking condition occurs due to dry cough and throat irritation. Other one is the halitosis. This is the most important symptom. Patient complaints of halitosis or bad breath. Other important ones are snoring and also dyspnea and dysphagia. This snoring, dyspnea and dysphagia occurs when the tonsil gets hypertrophied, decreasing the size of the airway, and also food passage. Because pharynx is a conduit between air and food passage. So whenever there is hypertrophy of the tonsils, decreasing the diameter of the passage, patient complains of both respiratory symptoms and also symptoms of the orodigestive tract, like dysphagia, that is difficulty in swallowing. Now coming to the cardinal signs, the most important signs. So whenever examiner asks you what are the important signs, how do you diagnose it as chronic tonsillitis, means all these four conditions should be present. The most common one is the persistent congestion of the anterior pillar or a band of congestion over the anterior pillar. The second one is the positive tonsillar squeeze. In this, this is nothing but you take a tongue depressor and press over the anterior pillar. If on squeezing or pressing this anterior pillar, if some white color pultaceous material comes out through the tonsil, then this is known as positive tonsillar squeeze or Erwin Moore sign. This is the most important sign. Other ones are palpable, non-tender jugulodigastric lymph nodes. Then finally, tonsil hypertrophy. So tonsil hypertrophy is one of the most important conditions. So there are 4 cardinal signs: persistent congestion of the anterior pillar, positive tonsillar squeeze or Erwin Moore sign, palpable non-tender, tenderness is seen in acute tonsillitis, palpable non-tender jugulodigastric lymph nodes, and tonsil hypertrophy. To grade the tonsil hypertrophy, there are several classifications, but more commonly we'll follow this 4-grade one. Grade 1 is the tonsil. You can see the tonsil is present, but it is present inside the fossa. See, it didn't reach the brim of the fossa. You can see so there is some gap. So this is the grade 1. In grade 2, the tonsil reaches up to the brim of the fossa, tonsillar fossa, formed by the palatoglossus and palatopharyngeus. In grade 3, the tonsil crosses the brim, but it does not touch the opposite tonsil or reach the midline. This is the grade 3. Grade 4, you can see the tonsil is touching the opposite one. This condition is also known as kissing tonsils. See, in this grade 4 condition, it is completely obstructed. So patient presents with both dyspnea and dysphagia along with the other symptoms. Clinically, this chronic tonsillitis is divided into 3 types. Chronic follicular, presents with white beads or spots on the tonsil. Chronic parenchymatous tonsillitis, here tonsils are enlarged and congested. Finally, once the infection subsides, this fibrosis ensues and this tonsils get shriveled. So in chronic fibrotic tonsillitis, the tonsil size decreases. In parenchymatous, there will be hypertrophy. So this is a picture of the chronic parenchymatous tonsillitis. See, this is a picture of chronic fibrotic tonsils. You can see there is fibrosis and thus decrease in the size of the tonsil. So what investigations you want to do here? In this case, you want to do complete blood picture. So for investigations in tonsil, in chronic tonsillitis, there are two types: specific and non-specific. Specific means those are the specific investigations are those which show us towards a particular diagnosis. Non-specific investigations are done for the patient for knowing the fitness for surgery. So anywhere, investigations are of two types: specific for diagnosis, non-specific for fitness for surgery. So you do complete blood count, throat swab to know the causative organism, ASO titer to know if it is due to streptococcus, chest X-ray for fitness for surgery, lateral view of the neck we want to know if there is concomitant adenoid hypertrophy or not. If adenoid hypertrophy is present along with tonsillitis, we want to operate both them in one setting. And also nasal endoscopy to confirm the size of the adenoids. Treatment is, if there is acute exacerbation of chronic tonsillitis, to treat the acute exacerbation, you will give antibiotics and analgesics. But the ultimate treatment is surgical, that is tonsillectomy. So if you don't treat even at this stage, it can lead to complications. The complications are peritonsillar abscess or quinsy, parapharyngeal abscess, intratonsillar abscess. That is, the tonsil itself becomes a bag of pus. The substance or parenchyma of the tonsil gets necrosed, it gets filled with pus. And also other conditions like tonsillolith and tonsillar cyst. Now coming to the complication. Most common complication is the peritonsillar abscess. While talking about the anatomy of the tonsil and bed of the tonsil, we discussed there is a space lateral to the capsule. This is known as loose areolar tissue space. So it doesn't have any important structures except for paratonsillar vein. Since this is an empty space, once the capsule gives way during infection, all the pus gets collected in this peritonsillar space. Initially, it only inflames the peritonsillar tissue, causing peritonsillitis. Ultimately, it forms an abscess known as peritonsillar abscess. Most of the times, it is unilateral. Most of the times, it is unilateral. Most commonly seen in third to fifth decade of life. More common in males. The most common predisposing factor is chronic tonsillitis or recurrent tonsillitis. So, whenever there is recurrent tonsillitis, the mouth or opening of the crypts get inflamed. When they heal with fibrosis and the crypt opening closes. Then the infective material has nowhere to go except to seep into the surrounding parenchyma, ultimately break through the capsule and into the peritonsillar space, causing peritonsillar abscess. This is briefly the pathology for quinsy. So coming to symptomatology, patient presents with throat pain radiating to the ear. Trismus is difficulty in opening the mouth. It occurs due to the spasm of the pterygoid muscle. Thick speech or muffled speech, also known as hot potato voice. It is characteristic of quinsy. Patient presents with drooling of the saliva because patient has difficulty in swallowing and also painful swallowing. Patient doesn't swallow the saliva, so it drools out. Other conditions like malaise, fever, body aches can also be seen. On examination of the oral cavity, what will you see? Predominantly, you'll see a congested anterior pillar because the surrounding of the tonsil or medial part of the medial area of the tonsil gets filled with pus. The tonsil will get pushed